This is the Rebel Yell Podcast, the premier non-league podcast. The A to Z of non-league. Remembering Peter Vale.
Well, yeah, welcome to the Rebel Yell Podcast, episode 9 of the 24-25 season, a special edition here in collaboration with the Premier Non-League Podcast, episode 80, the A to Z of non-league. Guys, unfortunately, we're having to make a jump in the PNLP today to letter P, because P's for our Pete Vale, who unfortunately passed away last Tuesday. It was announced to the world of football and non-league. Just from obviously doing a joint podcast here with you guys on the Premier Non-League Podcast and the Rebel Yell Podcast. Pete has been a big part of both of those. If it hadn't been for Rebel Yell, I'd never have met you guys, and we'd never have done the Premier Non-League Podcast. And if it hadn't been for the Premier Non-League Podcast, you know, Rebel Yell and that lot would not have succeeded as much as it did through all of the things we've done together. So, guys, I think firstly, I think I can talk to all of us here. I'm still in shock. I can't believe, it was the FA Trophy game where we really held our own against Rochdale, and we were really unlucky. It was Pete's last game on commentary, and unfortunately he was going to come to our chairman of the Sports Association's birthday party, but he wasn't feeling well. He went straight home after the football, and then we find out the following couple of days later he'd had a cardiac arrest and was in hospital. Everyone thought, he'll be good, he'll be out next week, and no, that never happened, and he unfortunately passed away. It was confirmed last Tuesday. But just firstly, guys, initial thoughts, because I'm sure it'll be much for me. Shock, Chris, what would you say?
Yeah, well, firstly, just, my heart goes out to his family and friends, other than the friends that we are sharing time with right now. It was one of those moments when I found out last Tuesday. I was on my way out when I got the message from you. And it was one of those moments where you just go cold. The shivers go up your back. Was not expecting that at all. And I immediately kind of thought, I was in the car, my son was dropping me off. I was going out with a few mates, and I immediately just started thinking of some of the laughs we've had over the last 5 years, You mentioned there about Rebel Yell, PNLP. Without one, you wouldn't have the other. Without Rebel Yell speaking to Jeff Thompson all those years ago about the null and void, and none of this would be happening right now. And so over that 5 years, I've never met any of you guys in the flesh, but I still kind of class you all as friends, and obviously Pete's part of that. So although I never physically met him, I would see him every other Monday night, and it was just like having a beer with me mates, and most importantly, having a laugh. Pete's sense of humour will live with me forever. There was a twinkle in his eye, and there was a mischievous sense of humour in him, and he was on my wavelength, and I knew when he was being funny, and he knew when I was, because even though we were not physically together, we kind of look at each other on the camera, on the screens, and know there was like moments of double entendre that you can get away with in an adult podcast that you wouldn't get away with on children's TV, for instance. A genuinely funny man, and we're going to miss him, no doubt about that. But we have to keep these things going in his memory, in his honour. He's part of the embryonic stages of it, seeing what we do go from strength to strength. So we have to make sure that we keep his hard work going, and like the legacy that he's helped create. We've got to take that forward.
Well, Chris, your A was arsehole referees and arsehole officials. I think Pete wanted you to do bastard officials, C officials. I think he was looking forward to every week having another sort of officials, and with something preceding that that's quite rude. And I think the next one we do, I think you've got to find a naughty word for we've got D coming up soon. It'd be dickhead officials. Could that work?
Dickhead, yeah, dickhead.
Because we know Peter will be laughing at that.
He'd love it. No, but I don't want to be seen as someone who just hates officials. That's not me at all. I've got a lot of respect. I've got a lot of respect for officials.
Have you
It's
met
just some of
Have
them
you met
are.
Jacco yet?
I'm not saying anything.
But some of them, yes, they are arseholes. They are bastards. They are. I'm not going to use the C word. They are dickheads. But it was just that he had that. Pete had that smirk. It wasn't a smirk, and
Know
it wasn't
exactly
a
what you mean.
smile. It was I don't know how you could describe it, but
Mischievous look, a mischievous look.
you knew when he was being really funny, and you knew when he found something funny, because you just that look, and that'll live with me forever. Feel privileged to have worked with him, actually, because I mean, what Marc in what Marc White's talked about in his little thing that he's done for Pete, talks about individuals without whom non-league football wouldn't work. Pete's in that category. I don't think it can be underestimated just how much hard work he put in for Worthing Football Club. Not only are Rebel Yell and PNLP, worse off for not having him around, Worthing FC, they've got some very, very big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Well, they're kind of impossible to fill. It's going to be some job.
It is. Yeah. Jacco, your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I first of all, my love and thoughts to Pete and Pete's family and his wife. I got him, when you first got a message saying he had a cardiac arrest, you go, oh my God, and then there's a long period of time. We had no news, and you hope no news is good news. And then I got a message a couple of minutes before the official announcement came out saying Pete had passed away. And then suddenly, life, you think, he's only a couple of years older than me. And you think, it really hit me. And, and it's the only thing we've got left is his commentaries. And, yes, there's big boots to fill for Pete with the commentary. But my memory is, and James, you remember this as well, when we played Lewis away and he did the second half of the commentary with the fans behind the goal. Oh, that was amazing. And when the goal in from Jesse Starkey, that was legendary for me. And, and I think Pete had a way with words, because he did some written articles for us as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it was very elegant. And there was lots of big words, which I didn't think he would know them. But, it was, and, he was Mr. Worthing on the radio, first at Rebel Yell and then Worthing, the official commentary. And he brought Worthing to a lot of people and all over the world, because, there was people from Australia listening to him when we had Callum Keeley playing for us, and people all over the country listened to him. And when people go on holiday, including myself, 3:00, when you turn on to listen to follow your team, and it was always Pete who brought it to you. So yeah, it's just, he's got to be missed, and by us, but I think by the wider football community as well, because if you see the love on social media, what was given to Worthing, especially Pete, after the news broke, it was amazing. It actually brought tears to my eyes.
Dave, how about you, mate? I know you obviously didn't know Pete as long as us, but you and him had some very, very good one-on-one, mano-a-mano podcast when no one else could make it, didn't you?
Well, we used to look forward to those nights without you, James, when Pete was
the... Thank you very much.
I can understand that.
Oh, piss
off. When Pete was the master of the IT.
That's very true. Pete, master of IT, the understatement.
But obviously I concur with everything Chris has said. And looking at what he sent us, I think the appreciation showed at the game immediately at the home Worthing game, where I think there was the applause. And actually, football can do these things quite well, can't they? And it was very touching to see and showed out the depth of feeling for the guy. Be sadly missed. And as you say, he had that twinkle in his eye. But even when he was trying to master that Zoom call, I'm sure he won't mind us having a bit of a laugh.
I mean, to be honest, you know, I think situations like this, as much as our heart's breaking for Pete and his family, you know, everyone affected, you know, we're all upset, we're all affected, you know, the Worthing fan base, the wider world of non-league football, especially in Sussex and Surrey area. You know, you've got to think, you've got to laugh at these things because you've got to look at the good times. Yes, every
Definitely.
relationship, every, you know, friendship has highs, they have lows. You know, us on the PNLP probably squabbled like little silly kids at times just when we disagreeing over creative thing, but that was very rare. But we always came out and made some quality broadcasts. I mean, one of the first times that Pete was left to his own devices to interview someone was Ollie Bayliss, who's a non-league sort of legend himself. And Pete forgot to press record for half the interview. And he realised halfway through, I went, Ollie, stop. I've forgotten. Oh, well done, Pete. But he owned it. And, you know, I can say that, you know, as I said at the beginning, like, you know, if it wasn't for Pete, if it wasn't for Trev and Jonny and Ian, and obviously Chris, you came on with Ronnie sort of a little bit later, we would never have met. And if it wasn't for us doing Jeff on Rebel Yell, you know, with the get in, I would never have met Trev, I would never met Jeff, I would never met you. And so we are friends. We've never met apart. Obviously, in this room, Jacco, I do the Rebel Yell with, and I see him every government of home game, unfortunately. But you know, there's some
You're locked in,
oh,
James.
shut up, mate. Anyway, you know, like we have never met each other, but every time we come on record, it feels like you're having a pint with your mates and you're just chewing the fat of non-league football. I mean, sometimes we've got nothing to say, but we still manage to fill an hour's worth of podcasts just talking about our passion of non-league. And you know, Pete was a massive testament and part of that. To not be able to think he's never going to be on another one again is just heartbreaking. But this is why I think setting out and doing this podcast and being able to listen to some of his best bits of commentary has been just really, really nice to be able to do.
Yeah, I'm going to miss sorry, Jacco. I'm going to miss the silences, James, because obviously, because of his lack of tech savvy, there were how many times would he go on mute? You know, like Pete, are you there?
Talking. Or when he's sparking up his cigarette before, like, he like, mutes it and forgets to like unmute it, or Jacco, what were you going to say there, mate?
I think it's also it's a massive shame. You know, everybody Pete was a massive Worthing fan, but also he was a massive Forest fan, wasn't he? And the season they're doing really well. You know, I just feel a bit like, you know, it's such a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although I used to jab him at that, saying you didn't care about Forest till they got to the Premier League, did you, Pete? Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, you're all right, mate.
No, it was just, well, I love accents. I love different accents, and you know, obviously having Dave with us still gives us that Midlands twang. Because I loved Pete's accent. It was perfect for what he did. You know, I don't know what I think. You know, in the highlights of his commentary, the one that really sticks in my mind, as you know, James, you know, last season, was it Pagham?
Wadham. Wonder goal.
When the wonder goal, and it sounded like someone was strangulating Pete's testicles. You know, it was just. He almost sounded like Aled Jones as an 8-year-old. He couldn't get his words out because he was just so excited. I will never ever listen to that and not laugh. Very, very, very loudly indeed.
But Pete was also very unashamedly biased when commentating, wasn't he? Because he always said, "You're listening to Worthing commentary, and yes, we are very biased." He didn't hide it. He was not secretive.
I think Jacco, if last season, Ronnie and I commentated for South Shields against Southport, and we got some bad press afterwards because of our because of how kind of we were slagging Southport off to an extent. And I remember Pete just saying, "Well, fuck them. It's your commentary, not theirs. Fuck them." Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And when he got kicked out at Yeovil because he was being celebratory winning and then he kicked him out.
Yeah, he almost got kicked out of the ground because he was celebrating a Worthing goal. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you wouldn't. I mean, that's the thing, some of these things. I had the pleasure of commentating with him when we won the league when Jasper Patterson scored to put us into the National League South for the first time. The commentary, Ollie Pearce in the semi-final of the playoffs last year. Obviously, we were behind the goals in here, but you hear it an after effect, and you're like, this is amazing. I mean, I shared the commentary booth at Bognor with him on the postponed game Christmases a few years ago, and earlier on in the season they beat us on Bank Holiday Monday, and they made a video about me saying commentators crying now, happy now, made commentators kid cry, and and then they took the mickey by doing dry your eyes with the streets, and then we beat them significantly on after Christmas or New Year or whatever it was, and I did it back, and that account was quite quickly deleted by Bognor. And I always remember, mate, at the end of the video, I played a sound clip in here, but Pete was like, "Calm down, mate. Calm down, mate." It was just so many times you could, And one thing I did love as well is like we Pete and Marvin Armstrong, who obviously plays for York City now, has his own brand of clothing called Grafter, and he bought one of his t-shirts. Like, bearing in mind it's streetwear, is designed for like teenage and early adults, but Pete in his like late 40s, early 50s, decided to buy one and turns up at a game. I think it was away at Kingstonian or like Corinthian Casuals, and I think we'd drawn 1-1, and then Marvin comes out and Pete was wearing it underneath his top, and he lifts it up to Marvin, and Marvin's like, "Oh, cool." And I think Pete was like, just the reaction was just classic. He was like, Marvin's like, "Well, I really want an old man wearing my like streetwear that's meant to be for cool kids, not Pete Vale, bless him." But yeah, I think on this podcast, guys, today, I think we're gonna play some of his top commentary highlights and clips that I've managed to find over this. I mean, there's hundreds of them, but some of them that stick in my mind. We've got the Wadham goal, we've got the Maidstone celebration. We got, there was a classic one he did with a guy who used to support who was a Worthing supporter who passed away, called Kev Golds, who him and Pete did a commentary away at East Thurrock. When we were in the Isthmian League, and it was absolutely hilarious. It would never have been able to get away with that on anything, but it's definitely worth the 8 minutes of clips that we'll play. We've got Adam Hinshelwood, former Worthing FC manager and now current York City manager, joining us. Jack Williams from Worthing FC, head of media. He's taken some time out to speak to us. We've also got a message from Marc White, who'd love to have joined us tonight, but due to personal reasons, he can't make the recording tonight, which is, we just appreciate him sending, because he knew Pete when we did the live podcast down in Horsham. And we've also got PNLP OGs, Jonny and Trev, joining us just to sum up their thoughts of Pete's passing. But I think it's time to play a clip, guys. We'll play a clip now.
The Premier Non-League Podcast.
Cashman. Cleared, comes outside, Wadham with a shot. Oh my word! What a goal! What a goal by Wadham! He's going to be 30 yards out there, and he's levered it, and he's gone right in the top corner, and he's Chelmsford 0, Worthing 1. What a hit! What a hit! What a strike from the corner! Unbelievable! Came out, and Wadham has absolutely levered that into the top corner. That is goal of the month, goal of the season, goal of the decade. Unbelievable.
The Rebel Yell Podcast.
Right, now part of the Rebel Yell side of this joint podcast, I've got the head of media at Worthing FC, Jack Williams. Your first time on PNLP. You're not your first time on Rebel Yell, Jack, but welcome nonetheless. How are you getting on, buddy?
Yeah, okay, James. Still coming to terms with it all. Obviously, it's been just a heartbreaking week, isn't it? And yeah, my heart goes out to Pete's family, Pete's loved ones, because yeah, it's obviously hit us all hard, but I can only imagine and I can only sympathise with how they must be feeling at this moment. So yeah, love goes out to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, I mean, it's hit everyone like a ton of bricks, you know. Like as you know, my relationship with Pete, we've known each other pretty much since I've gone to Worthing, and you know, we've done a lot of stuff in non-league together. Your relationship with him has been over the latter years, doing the same sort of roles I did as a co-coms. But you know, it must have been harder for you because obviously you saw him on that last sort of time that he was in sort of public. You did a joint commentary. What game was that? Was that the
It was the Rochdale game.
Rochdale game? And you said to me like he said he didn't feel great that day, but he went home. Gary, we had him as Gary's party, and unfortunately, we didn't. He didn't come to Gary's birthday because he said he felt unwell, and next thing we know, he's in hospital, and then a week later, he's gone. It's just coming to terms with it because I think we've both done a lot at the club with him. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to. I mean, it's hard when anyone, he's not a direct family member, but he's a friend of ours, and he's a friend of Worthing, and I think the passion. You're never going to find a commentator that does match day commentary like Pete, are you? I mean, we were like, I was thinking about it. I mean, the amount of times he bloody got names wrong, it's just made me laugh. I mean, I think the funniest one was when he called Kane Wills Kane for a whole game. I couldn't stop laughing at it. I was like, Pete, stop calling him Wills Kane. But I mean, on the great thing I've been able to do for this podcast is, sometimes you have all these memories, but sadly, when someone's passed, you've taken time to remember them. And I've spent a lot of time listening to sort of highlights of clips and Pete being typical bloody Pete, the games that you really want to have highlights of, he forgot to upload. For example, Bowers and Pitsy when we won the league. Why, Pete? Come on, mate. I mean, but I remember we had a great time with that. But Jack, just sum up your sort of memories of Pete, or your early memories of him, because you came into Worthing, when was it? A year and a half ago, was it? Beginning of last season, full time.
Yeah, beginning of last season full time, and volunteered the whole season before basically, and yeah, I was always a bit sort of shy to go over because I thought he'd sort of get me on to do co-commentary, but as I grew into the full time role, obviously grew to know him, and it's like spent the best part of the last 18 months stood by his side watching Worthing, and we had so many amazing memories. And to be honest, it was Pete's passion and love for the club that really was infectious. It's what made me feel so connected to the club because obviously stood next to him and his emotion throughout a 90-minute football match. It was hard not to get as excited as he would get.
Yeah, I mean, I think we started off commentary. It was part of Rebel Yell, and it was I think it was a Cheshunt Cup game. It was the League Cup back in 2020, just before the pandemic hit. And it was Pete had been wanting to do it for a while, and he kind of sort of sod it, let's do it one game. And he we got it on, we got it live, and had some great feedback. We had some technical issues, which I know you being next to Pete, you've not ever had a technical issue, have you, with Rebel with the live commentary? Have you? Never. It's been the most seamless
Never,
service ever.
no, yeah.
But yeah, we did that, and we used the mixer service, and past summer it transferred into the hands of the club, and the club took over as the official commentary. But I think, there's been some amazing moments. As I said, like I mentioned that Bowers game, frustratingly, there's not the memory of that because I think Pete went over the 3 hours and then his laptop crashed or something. Sums Pete up, doesn't it? It literally sums Pete up. But, that game, being able to call it, and there's that, I'm sure you saw it on my social media. I shared that fantastic picture someone got of me and him at Bowers, like him with his arm around me, like just as I think Pattendon had scored the winning goal to take us into the National League South after many years of trying. And, that is just such a fantastic candid photo. And I think sometimes those photos are the best, when you get those candid shots, and to have a memory like that of such emotion on that day is just such a tribute and such a nice thing to look back on. That was probably been my highlight. And, listening to the clips, I'd be interested to see what your highlight of Pete and commentating is, because one game comes to hand. I ain't going to say it because I'd like to think it might be the same one as yours, but a game that meant a lot.
The Maidstone playoff semi-final.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
We're on the same wavelength.
That moment was
Yeah.
special. I can't really recall what we both did in that moment, but it was just utter jubilation. It was that game had you on the edge all the way throughout, and it was sort of at a moment where we'd given up hope. It was like it was heading for extra time, and then just pure ecstasy. And to share that moment with him, it's a lasting memory that I'll never ever forget. There was The other
Well,
one,
just on that one, I'll just pause you on that one. Can I just ask, was it you with the high pitched squeal, or was it Pete with the high?
yeah, yeah,
Work
it
out who
was
it was.
in the background. Yeah, it was. Yeah, like I said, pandemonium. So it was
Yeah.
just completely lost all control over what I was doing at the moment, and I think Pete was the same. We were both. I can't remember. We must have hugged and just looked at each other in disbelief at what we'd just seen. So yeah, like I say, a memory that will last with me forever. And the other one was Chelmsford away, the Jack Wadham goal. I know you've
Yeah.
managed to find that clip, and oh, like again, it was one of those moments where we were just sort of nothing was happening. It was all a bit flat, and then it's football, isn't it? Just a special moment. And
Mm.
Pete's commentary, the way he called that was unbelievable. And yeah, just an incredible moment that I just vividly remember sat
I
next
mean,
to him.
I've been lucky to be at those two games, but behind the goal. And, I have to say, like, the commentary kind of sums up what everyone was feeling. I mean, that Chelmsford game was at that sort of time of the season. Hinch had just left. We just got our temporary that team in charge, and then we got on a 3-game loss. After that. But then, that game was top of the table because Chelmsford back then were like fighting for that playoff spot with us. They were right up. They were fighting for second and third, weren't they? And we had that, and then that game was such a nail biting game, end to end game, and we said behind the goal, or it's going to take a moment of madness or creativity special to put this goal in the back of the net. And that corner from Cashman headed out, and then just Wadham just to hit top bins in that sweet spot. And the sort of celebration behind the goal had been started to really heavily pour with rain. It was horrible. It was like Essex on a Monday night or whatever it was. And then the Maidstone one, I mean, I just remember going, Ollie, pass the effing ball, for God's sake. Just pass it. Cashman is wide open. And he just somehow it stuck to his foot. And to put it past, right, like, was it 4 minutes to the end or something like that? Plus, Mason just hit the bar, a
Yeah, 20
sitter where it
seconds
should have been
earlier.
2-1 to them.
Yeah,
And, and then the playoff final. I mean, we don't like looking back on the playoff final because obviously it still breaks my heart. It's summed up perfectly in that bloody video, that documentary, zoomed in on me, which Pete never liked to make me forget about. Even on his last appearance on the PNLP, he liked to remind me that I was filmed crying at the end of the game. But I mean, even on that, just hearing the bits of Pete's commentary just shows how passionate it is. And what saddens me is obviously the job that I do. People know the job I do. I'm not always able to attend the home games and the away games, but to be able to listen to Pete um, on a commentary away from home, like, there will be someone else that takes over from him. They've got some massive shoes to fill. Um, it's going to be hard, isn't it, Jack, to find someone that's going to sort of dedicate that amount of passion. And it reminds me of the old fan zone. Remember on Sky Sports they had fan zone. It really wasn't appropriate commentators for like a sort of calling it down the middle match. Pete is Worthing's fan zone, wasn't he?
absolutely. Yeah, and he, as I think you rightly touched on it, like he encapsulated the way everyone was feeling in his commentaries, and like that Maidstone moment, for example, just the tension that led up to that moment was captured by Pete, and the relief and the expression that he had when we scored that winning goal was just everything. It was what everyone was feeling in the ground at that time, other than the Maidstone away end, of course. And yeah, he's. I think you summed it up perfectly again by saying it is a fan zone. It's he just was Worthing Football Club through and through, and yeah, he will be greatly missed on the airwaves, and as you say, it'll be impossible to replace. In all honesty, because
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be another Pete Vale that comes along.
They won't, and that's the sad thing that everyone's always got their own sort of characteristics and stuff. But when you got someone that's that passionate about something he loves, I mean, he really went. You listen to the sort of beginning when he started commentating to sort of his last broadcast, and you can just tell the way he's grown in himself to make himself. He sat there on his own reviewing. I mean, obviously, you got to remember, Pete wasn't paid by the club. He wasn't paid by Rebel Yell to do it. And, he sat there in his own time researching players, researching the other teams. He wrote his, little pre-game sort of write-ups, his little speeches at the beginning of the game. I mean, he could be one of those sort of team talk specialists, couldn't he? He could have gone into the changing room to kick their asses of the team sometimes. Um, But yeah, is there any other sort of little moments you really remember, Pete, or stupid things that can all make us chuckle? Because I mean, a lot of things I remember of Pete are definitely not repeatable for a podcast that's going to be shared on his official channel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'll always remember him coming up. Either with it, it was always either going to be a cup of tea or a pint. It was one
You
of
know,
the
the latter is probably the most likely outcome, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And he'd always pop down at halftime and come back with one of the other as well. And yeah, he'd always have a refreshment to see him through 45 minutes of football, be it a pint or a cup of tea. And yeah, he's just an amazing character. And like I say, he'll be so greatly missed. I know personally, watching Worthing will never be the same because 90% of my experiences watching Worthing has been stood alongside Pete. And yeah, it's heartbreaking to say that I'll never be able to do that again. And yeah, it's like, yeah, before I tear up, I'll break off.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a different. I mean, it's already felt over the last couple of games. It's been really weird. I mean, I know you would have absolutely hated our performance against Slough on Saturday because he wouldn't have been keen. But then Pete being Pete, he would always call it very sort of unbiased. You know, he'd want to sit there slagging the team off and saying how crap we were, but he wouldn't have done it. And, you know, he would have said, you know, come on, it's one result, pick it up, it'll be all right next week. Whereas all us fans are fuming about that performance.
Yeah, he'd always be the positive guy on social media afterwards.
Yeah, I appreciate you popping on, Jack, and giving your little memories of Pete. Hopefully, we do this podcast well in his family, and you can listen to some absolute quality moments from Pete, and we just remember what a good guy he was. But you know, Jack, just any final words from you?
Just again, my heart goes out to the family. And if I speak for the whole club when I say if we can do anything to help over these next few weeks, months, years, whatever it may be, just yeah, please feel free to reach out and we'll do what we can.
Jack Williams, head of media at Worthing FC. It's been great to have you on the pod, and I'll see you on Saturday, mate.
Thanks, James. Pleasure.
The Rebel Yell Podcast.
Ollie Wright. Pierce gets a flick on. Felix trying to steal in behind. Felix is going to get it, plays it forward. Ollie Pierce, he's got Cashman in the centre. Ollie Pierce! Ollie Pierce has slotted that past Lucas Carnivalan. Unbelievable scenes here. The whole main stand has gone absolutely crazy. Maidstone just 60 seconds ago looked like they were going to score. The crossbar saved Worthing. And then we got up the other half. I've lost my glasses, can't see my notes or anything. Any excitement, but it's Worthing who might have snatched a late, dramatic equaliser. Unbelievable. After Maidstone hit the post, you're just saying it looks easier for them to score. And Ollie Pierce has done what Ollie Pierce does best.
The Premier Non-League Podcast.
Right, obviously, I don't think it would be a tribute episode to Pete without having a few of the PNLP OGs here. So I've got Trev and JK. First of all, welcome back to the PNLP. I know we did say back in the day, you're always welcome on the podcast, but it's a shame it's in these circumstances, isn't it, gents?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's I can't imagine what his family's obviously going through right now. Since I moved away, I haven't really sort of kept up with everybody, but Pete was always an incredibly knowledgeable guy, extremely passionate about non-league, sometimes boring at times because he was just so passionate. And I question his support of Nottingham Forest as well, but no, he was a fantastic individual, and he'll be greatly missed.
Yeah, I mean, it's something when we set this up, 5 years ago, didn't we? With the three of us, Pete and Ian as well. I wouldn't say it was a sort of conversation I ever would have imagined having in such a short space of time. Maybe another 15 years time when everyone's grown a little bit greyer, a little bit older, and watched a little bit more football. Definitely something I really wasn't expecting, but it's always a reminder to everyone when you lose someone that you know, someone that's close as well, that life is really short and you just got to go out and do what you want to do, and as enjoy as much as you can.
Yeah, I think, there's been too many times over the last few years I've seen people that have passed that have been way too young. 55, I think Pete was, is not an age to pass away. And, I think, it's sad when anyone passes away, but, when you actually know, I mean, Trev, as you said, like, we're us three and Ian, later on, Chris, we founded the PNLP together 5 years ago. One of the things I was laughing at, I was thinking the other day is when, we do. Do you remember when we met in Weatherspoons in Worthing to like discuss like what we're going to do with the P? And Pete had printed the front page of that logo and he had made a notebook out of it. And I just thought that
Yeah.
just like he used probably half a like tank of ink just to print out a logo on an A4 piece of paper. And it always made me laugh that. And it just showed how much passion he was. I was lucky enough to share the mic with him at commentary and, we did the Rebel Yell stuff together. But like, when we all got together and sort of shared our love of non-league, obviously, Trev, we got to know you through Rebel Yell by, doing the let fans in stuff during the pandemic and that horrible time. And, we just all clicked, didn't we? We had that podcast where we had a really good feedback. We thought, why don't we do something more here? And, Pete was a testament to that. And, as you said, his love of Worthing and non-league just, always shined through.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's you can't. The passion that people have for football is second to none. And I like living here in the States, and when I talk to people about how many people show up for a seventh tier football game, it blows their minds. And he was the epitome of that passion that people have for football and non-league football in general. And you talk about that notepad. I think when we went for a curry in Worthing, he had that notepad with him for that curry.
I forgot about that, Curry.
I remember that.
It was like, yeah, but now you guys have left me. I'm like the only Southerner left now, guys. Like it's all a Northern podcast now, pretty much. I'm a Southern monkey and I'm proper outnumbered. So I get bullied week in, week out now. So thanks for that, you two.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome.
But I mean, looking at that, and one of the great memories we had, obviously, JK, you were here visiting family and you came with Ian, but Trev, we did our live show at Horsham FC. When was that? Is that a couple of years ago, I think, 2022?
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago in March. Yeah.
And, we had Marc White, we had Dom De Paula, and also had Chris from Broadbridge Heath, and we had a really good panel. And, you and Gaz, me and Pete, and, that was just, that night, I just remember like the people that turned up to watch us do that podcast, just showed how much, that the effort and the sort of passion we all had just made it all worthwhile. And, seeing Pete's face there, I mean, he said to me he couldn't believe how many people came to that and, showed it. And it's just a shame we didn't have that as a memory recording because we had a bit of a technical issue recording, but that just sums up the PNLP, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, saying that, the great picture we put out last week, showed it happened for a start. You missed out Hinch there within the panel, but we'll let that one slide.
Oh Christ! Oh God! Is he?
No, he's in it. You just didn't mention him just now.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course. Oh, bloody hell.
He's forgotten about him now. He's
coming on to later. He's gonna delete me now and block me, so I'm not gonna get on a special guest. How can I forget old Hinch? Which obviously you say Hinch, like Pete just loved that bloke. Like he shared many a pints with him at Woodside, and many happy memories. When we got a fantastic picture of me, Spencer and Hinch and Pete lifting the Isthmian League trophy, and as you say, like, you had that fantastic panel on that picture, Trev. It just was, what a night that was. What a night that was.
Yeah, I think, well, it's something none of us have done since. And something I think everyone would have loved to have done again had we been able to have made it fit and everything. But all five of us, Jonny, Ian as well, we all missed pods along the way. But the great thing with the five of us, when Gaz came on later, Chris as well, Ronnie, when we started, was there was always at least two of us, if not three of us, able to carry it along. And it didn't matter what the combination was. It just showed that passion went through absolutely everybody. As Jonny said earlier, the passion that Pete had. I mean, recently, in the last few months before Christmas, he was hosting it when you yourself weren't available, and just got on with it, got it done. You know, that's just what he was like with his commentary. Get out there, get the mic, get it done, roll on to the next one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was just like, you know, the podcast we did, you know, he hosted it really well. You know, Trev, you've hosted it before. You two have been on yourselves. Me and him have been on ourselves. But we always managed to fill an hour minimum just chatting crap about non-league, didn't we? We didn't even have to have topics. I mean, we know our WhatsApp group sometimes was like, topics for tonight. We wouldn't get any replies. So, right, let's just go on at 8 o'clock and just chat crap about non-league. And we managed to fill that time. And it just felt like having a pint with your mates down the pub, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think during that point where obviously we weren't allowed into games and stuff, and we were finding my Facebook memories are coming up now, like saying, how did we manage to fill an hour and a half? Because, you know, there was hardly any football to talk about, especially that first 4 or 5 months when we started, and then we started and it stopped and a little bit carried on and half of it didn't. You know, but that just goes to show there's just so much coverage that you can give to non-league football, and Pete's been a massive part of that and a massive driver in what Worthing have done. You know, it's happened on the pitch, but he's been absolutely massive off the pitch for the club as well.
100%. I mean, well, you'll hear on when we put this podcast out, I've done some like, you know, recording of like his best bits, and you know, there'll be some iconic moments. I mean, for me, I think it's got to be when Ollie Pearce put us into the final of the into the National League South playoffs against Braintree last season by scoring that goal against. I think Pete lost every bit of bodily fluid in his body that day when he went in. I've never heard someone react like that, and I don't know if it was him with the high pitched squeal in the background or it was Jacco who was commentating with him. But you know, times like that, you just got to think. And one thing,
what kind of bodily fluid are we talking about here?
Well, we got to see. This is exactly what I was getting onto. Right, it's either me or it's either Pete that always brought this conversation down, wasn't it? At the end of the podcast, it created a lot of editing nightmares. To be fair, I mean, if it wasn't me, it was Pete. It would always lower the tone. So, Jonny, as we come to the end of the recording, we've left that to you. But guys, before we sort of wrap this little bit up, but any sort of like final memories of Pete or any last words you want to say, just to sort of, you know, I'll just say rest in peace, mate. You know, love you to pieces. Gutted you're not here. Hopefully Worthing can do it for you this season and you can watch from above.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we hope Worthing can do it for Sussex and for Pete, really. Obviously, incredibly sad that he's left us so soon, being as young as he was in the grand scheme of things. So he'll be definitely missed. Yeah, do it for Pete.
And ironically, I was listening to a podcast this morning with Dave Anderson and Matt Gray, who was the Sutton manager when Sutton won promotion to the Football League. Now, Pete's only trip to the Hive came with you two guys as well on that final Saturday of the weekend when we played the Champions Elect and we beat them 2-0. And you know exactly where I'm going with this, that we were sitting there halfway through the second half and then Peter excitedly next to one of us shouts out, David! David Adjaboy, the ex-Worthing winger, was on the opposition side for Sutton, and Pete's sitting in the home end. And David's given him this really odd kind of look and a half-hearted wave as to say, I think I know who you are, but who? You know, that was his only ever trip to the Hive. And I hope you enjoyed that, Pete. But I really hope Worthing do win promotion this season. And it's one for Pete. So rest in peace, Pete.
And we got to remember, it wasn't at the start of the friend thing that you said.
Yeah.
And he got it in the net because I think it was me, you, and Gaz, was it? So it was me, you, Jonny. It was Gaz there as well. Was it just me, you, and Jonny, and Pete?
No, just us.
Budgeon was there, wasn't it?
And
it was just us.
We all sat in the road, didn't we? Going, friend. Good old memories there. But anyway, guys, it's lovely to have you back on the PNLP. Hopefully, next time we get you back on, it will be through nicer circumstances. But, you know, just on a side note, Horsham right up there, Barnet right up there. It could be a trio of promotions for us all. And, you know, not the right moment to talk about it, but good luck for that. And, you know, I'm sure we'll get you on before the end of the season to sort of talk about those relevant matches. But thank you for taking your time out to pay this respect for Pete. And we'll chat to you guys soon.
Thank you, gents.
Cheers, James.
The Premier Non-League Podcast.
A long ball for Haig. Wheeler's going to pick up the second ball here, just inside the Dorking half. Does brilliantly well. And then he's going to try a shot from distance. Great shot! What a goal! What a screamer from Nicky Wheeler from 35 yards out. He's picked that up. It's gone like an absolute Exocet missile right to the keeper's left-hand side in the bottom corner, and Worthing, right on the stroke of half-time, have the lead.
The Rebel Yell Podcast.
Well, I just want to, obviously give my continued condolences to, to obviously to Pete and his family and all his friends affected by it, and by everybody at Worthing. Peter, the one thing with football is that when all's said and done, all of us folk are just football people, and we all recognise those people that work really hard for no other reason than it's their enthusiasm, their go-to, and that's what I do, and that's what thousands of people do across the country, and it's people like Peter that are the lifeblood of football, that help football operate in the way that it does, invaluable. And I know, he was very much Mr. Worthing, and I love talking to Pete because, as much as he was a huge football fan and football volunteer, if ever we got on to Dorking or Worthing, I used to see the fire in his eyes, with that sort of with his Worthing hat on. But he was ever the gentleman, and he'll be sorely missed, obviously. And, it shouldn't be underestimated, the void that someone like Peter will leave around the place. And I'm sure if Worthing go on to succeed in whichever format this season, it'll be dedicated to Peter, and so it should be. So, yeah, just really, gutted for Pete and everybody surrounded by Pete, and of course everybody at Worthing. And I look forward to coming down and seeing everybody during Easter.
The Rebel Yell Podcast.
Send our condolences to everybody down there, and Peter's family and everybody as well.
Yeah, it's really, it's like it's terrifically sad. Peter's a football stalwart, and Worthing through and through, and I done a podcast with him and the lads down there, and we'd message and speak sometimes. I'm really devastated, and for his family and all the folk at Worthing, because it's a football community is a very close knit, and you can imagine how that feels for everybody at Worthing with someone so close to everything. So big condolences, and keeps everything in perspective as always, and obviously rest in peace, Pete, and hopefully your family and anyone affected at Worthing. It's going to be a tough couple of weeks.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
RebelYell.live.
So it looks like you're free at the back today?
Yeah.
Do you think when Papo's fit that we'll go to a 4?
I ain't got a clue. Adam's a manager, not me.
You'd like to be though?
Yeah. But having said that, I think I'd do a better job than Adam.
Controversy straight away.
There you go. Then you heard it first here. That's what you come to watch football for, balls like that.
Absolutely.
Oh, I've got a pair too. Come on. Seriously now, it's got to be a red, isn't it? He's got one yellow. Another yellow. Equals a red. Oh!
Right, well, it looks like Adam Hinshelwood is going into the book here.
Wow,
yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a yellow card for Adam.
That's ridiculous. No, that's absolutely stupid. The ref, a proper one. Put it that way, that's all I'm going to say about it. Dyson has ripped a few of them players a new one, and he's got ripped to pieces there, and he's booked Adam. for protesting about the foul. I mean, my mate, that number 4 there is long enough to be continued. My mate, he's a size.
Agbula.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Mike Agbula.
6 foot, and then he starts getting frosty. He walks around. He walks around in August with snow on his head. Oh no! I mean, let it go on, ref. You. Nothing wrong with that, and the ref gives us a free kick. I mean, yeah.
Oh dear. I'm crying here.
Player. Referee, another referee that want to be our player. Put that beer down, please.
What's in that flask, Kev?
I thought you was professional. It wasn't a dirty foul. I mean, it was one of them. And the referee now he doesn't give that one that the air manager got a yellow card for, but he gives that silly one. You know, it was a 50-50. Okay, he went down. But the referee is so inconsistent, it's absolutely ridiculous.
So, it's better than VAR though, isn't it?
Oh, well, yes,
at least we can moan about the ref.
I love VAR, I do.
It's going to be... We've got somebody online who's asking for your autograph.
I beg your pardon?
Somebody online is asking for your autograph in the chat.
My autograph, I will give it to you in the chat. Thank you very much. Whoever you are. I love you.
And Zenga.
I love all Worthing fans. I love all Worthing fans. Whether I dislike them or not. Pardon?
I'm getting old. I can see.
I was taking a drag. I mean, I didn't even...
He's having a vape, actually. Oh, it's a throw-in.
I've got a vapor here. Yeah. I don't smoke. I think it's disgusting. So, Dean, put that bloody fag out. Get back in and listen to the radio, please. Right, now, mate. Look, he looks fun time.
So, nice bit of football again there.
Bloody lovely. Yeah, I did swear there. I said B. But it was lovely. I mean...
He enjoyed that. Kev enjoyed it.
Really nice, really nice.
So, it's Ricky is...
That's what I come to football to watch, that sort of move.
And Kev's gone for a walk somewhere. Kevin's telling the press people off.
I had to have a go at him.
Shouldn't be on Tinder really, should he?
Oh, exactly. Phones should be banned from football. You want to watch that one if it's televised. Or whatever, you know.
I lose my listeners when it's televised. You know, that's what I said. I said it's live on.
Well, I didn't listen to you last week because I watched it on.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. They were just...
No. Let's face it. I mean,
yeah, you're going to prefer to watch it. I understand.
And we look very good.
I understand. But they need a decent commentator on there, don't they?
Oh, of course they do. Exactly. That's why that is why I've just come on here, because I'm just a spare one. You know,
a spare.
Couldn't get nobody else, so yeah. Can you do it, will you?
I think there was a bit of a clamour for you to do it today, Kev, in the group.
To be honest, no, I can't understand it myself. Can you?
Spialo.
Yeah, I said he had to score a goal. He had to score today. It was a beautiful... I really don't think that was a shirt, Paul. I think he got stuck in between his fingers.
What do you think of his position watching a game rather than behind the goal like you usually are?
I'd rather be behind the goal, but I mean, I'll do it every now and again, you know. All depends. People might not want me to do it again, but if they do, I'll do it again, yeah.
And you can swear behind the goal as well, can't you?
You definitely can swear. You can cuss. I'm a little cur. I'm still purring about Mo's goal. I'm still purring here.
Oh, and he always give it away. And then Cameron Tuts. Yeah, it was a mistake there by Danny Barker mistake. It left Cameron Tutt in trouble, and then Cameron Tutt could be off here. He could be off because he did look a heavy challenge.
He had to cover for Danny. No, that was Danny Barker, my mate. What was that all about, my mate? No. I'm biting my lip, sorry. That's all I'm saying, I'm biting my lip. I could say I'm biting my lip, but I'm not going to.
He's Farouk again. Side flag.
He couldn't have been offside. There's no way he was offside. He was 2 men onside.
And Golden is down.
God, my mate.
And Holly's come on to give him attention.
Where did he come from? Farouk? Farouk, me. Come on, Rick!
So
Whatever's up with that misfit? Golden bloody... Oh, well, sorry, am I on?
You didn't swear.
No. But you can't... Misfit is a little bit of a naughty thing to say. Mongrel's child. That's politically incorrect, isn't it? Sorry, listeners. All 3 of you. Omar's just gone off 10 minutes ago. Now Omar's taking the penalty. Taking the penalty. The blooming penalty.
So.
Game over. Boom, boom. Let's smack the room.
The Premier Non-League Podcast.
Well, it's my real privilege to welcome back former Worthing FC manager and current York City Football Club manager Adam Hinshelwood. As we just said off air, ads, it's not the nicest of circumstances to have you back on a podcast, is it, mate?
No, definitely not. Yeah, real sort of sad news. It's only a few weeks ago that got a message from Pete saying he was going to come up to York. So, yeah, obviously devastated when sort of heard the news.
It's I think it's just taken everyone a complete shock. I mean, you shared some great moments with Pete, obviously taking Worthing up to the National League South for the first time, hitting the playoffs in your first season as National League manager, and obviously setting the stones to get us to the National League playoff final last year. One of the things when I've been looking at these highlights is that fantastic photo of me, you, Pete and Spencer holding the Isthmian League trophy at the side of the pitch, and those memories of, us lot walking down to the Railway Tavern and with the trophy and giving it to Bigsy and, Pete there and drinking out the Isthmian trophy. There must be so many memories you remember when you just think of Peter Vale.
No, yeah, I think you've touched on a lot of them there, and just the amount of times he used to run on the pitch and try and catch me for a quick word at the end of games and stuff like that. And there wasn't too many times. We obviously done relatively well, so it was always on a good footing a lot of the times. But the odd time you're like, oh bloody hell, I don't want to speak to him now. But he just had that way where you just had to stop and give him your time. Great guy, loved, went out for a few drinks after wins as well. And yeah, it was a real sort of community spirit. And I thought Pete, typified that really.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I think it did think about it, you just touched on it about him running on the pitch. The amount of times I stood behind the stand and go, is he really going to try and speak to Hinch right now when we just lost? I really don't think it's the right moment. I guess you've got to do that, Phil. But Pete, probably being Pete, you didn't mind because he always kind of made you smile, didn't he? You could tell sometimes especially when he used to do the interviews with you after the game as well. He kind of, you could tell in your face you weren't exactly in the best frame of mind. But Pete would say something to kind of lighten the mood quite easily, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I thought he was top at that really. The amount of times that early days when he would come in and interview us in the little portal cabin, and like I say, it's the last thing you want to do, but he would make it so much easier. Like I say, with his questions, really good questions. Never put you in an awkward spot, and he was so good for the club. Even he would drive the minibus to a few of the under-19s away games and stuff like that. Always try and put others before himself, and just a genuinely nice guy. And I think that come across when he was interviewing people as well. Like I say, even when is difficult, he tried to avoid difficult questions and made it so much easier. So, just really, really genuinely nice fella, and would give up his time and always put others before himself. It's going to be a massive miss to any community, that type of person.
And just putting sort of football aside, do you think you'd ever see anyone as passionate as Pete in non-league again, especially in the Worthing quarter? Because you just don't find people that with that. I mean, you saw, his life revolved around Worthing FC. All throughout the week he'd be texting about Worthing, WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, forums. Be preparing to get the commentary right. It's going to be hard to find someone to replace someone. It would never be replaced, but to find someone even with that ounce of passion that Pete had.
100%. I think you'd like to provide it all brilliantly there. Like I say, he'd always put the club and others first before himself, and the amount of times we had good chats and stuff. And he was a real passionate fan, loved the club, but also, a good friend as well. Like, we'd sit and just talk football, and he'd talk about Forest and, all his going to different grounds and different games that he'd been to and stuff when we was travelling in the minibus. And like I say, I think he got a bit of pride as well, seeing some of these young players that he sort of took the time to take to away games to then break into the team. I think he took a bit of pride in that himself, because he helped them on their journey as well. So wonderful character, and like I say, very, very sorely missed, and going to be impossible to replace. Real sad news, and just love to everyone down there, really. It was a community feel, like you'd go after and have a drink together, and like I say, it was missed when certain people weren't there, and it's going to be a massive hole now that Pete's not going to be there, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, some of those bus journeys we've had back from some great away days, haven't we? Pete being on the bus, and you, Hinch, popping up at the service station and getting a crate of beer in for everyone. I mean, those are the memories that, as I'm sure you're like now, being up at York, your career has evolved, our watching of like Worthing has evolved, and, times like that are few and far between now, but those are the memories you cherish the most. I mean, I think most of us, although we wanted to win anyway, would always want to win anyway, because we know what a sort of party atmosphere that bus would be back. And, Pete was sort of up the front and centre of you guys. And even like, those nights we spent when we got back from Bowers after winning the league and lifting a trophy, and, Callum Keeley filling the pint, him and Meeky, like filling it full of Budweiser, us probably catching whatever we caught that night, but just all sharing out of a communal bottle of beer. I mean, they're the memories that, and I remember Pete was he was like an excitable kid. Like he was like, he was like, he was so happy. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone that happy ever since.
No, that would always be sort of the first memory whenever I walk into, in at Woodside and walk into that bar, coming back after Bowers, and like just the joy in everybody's faces. Like the bus journey back was unbelievable. What I can remember of it, and like I say, I think it typified it as well that we took the trophy. Bigsy obviously wasn't allowed in the ground or whatever for whatever reason. So we wanted to make sure that he experienced it as well. And just all real. It was good times, real positive. Obviously, the team was successful, winning lots of games, which really helped. But nothing but, like I say, just brings you pure joy and smiles whenever I sort of think about Pete and think about those times at the club.
Well, one thing we mentioned, which always made me laugh about Pete, obviously Marvin Armstrong playing up in York now with you again, like reunited with you. Obviously, he's got his clothing brand, which I know you were sort of key to wearing a few of his garments over the years. And I don't know if I think you wouldn't have seen this, but one of the things that still makes me laugh is that Pete obviously bought one of his grafter t-shirts, and as you know, I don't think Marvin's target market was someone of Pete's maybe age or sort of character. And it was after I think we drew 1-1 at Kingstonian or Corinthians. Obviously, it was a really crap performance. I know you weren't in the best frames of mind, but Marvin comes out the changing room after Pete had it on underneath his jacket, and he lifted it up, and Marvin was like, "What?" Like his reaction was like, "Ooh," and it's just one of those moments that you know, it was just classic Pete, and you know,
Yeah, nice. He always used to say, "Marv, like it's for anyone that grafts," and you know, Pete's certainly done that. So, yeah, I remember him in that t-shirt. To be fair, and always like the photo I put of the trophy and him with that shirt on that year is the one that comes to mind straight away when I think of Pete. Do you know, like sometimes you get who's the person or player that you think of when that shirt comes up, and it's Pete Vale in that shirt for me. So yeah, like I say, I just a bit distraught myself when sort of heard the news, and nothing but good memories. Every time I made a joke with my missus, we'd drive along Worthing Seafront, and is it the Burlington you still always
bloody Burlington, yeah.
So I said, I wonder if Pete's in there. Every time I drove past it, it got like that much of a running joke between us that my missus started saying it to me then. Oh, I wonder if Pete's in there, because I used to always, every time I went past there. So,
well, you know that 99% of the time he would have been in there. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The time you weren't in there, that you probably the time. Oh, let's go and see if Pete's in there. You probably wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
God's Lord.
No, exactly. Yeah. So that was sort of
talking about Tracy, your wife, like, and you know your kids and stuff. You know, Pete. I always saw him take his time. You know, when she came and watched the games, or you know, like Teddy running around the pitch, and you know, like that, and he would always take time to go and say hi to her, and you know that must mean a lot to you because he only knows her as your partner. You know, it's not like friends outside of football, but for someone that always, you know, went out of his way to go and make sure she's all right, ask how she is. I mean, it just must have been. I mean, I know everyone was like that at the club with your missus, but you know, it must be nice to think that, you know, Pete actually went out of his way to go and speak to her and see how he's doing, see how the kids are doing, and everything like that.
Definitely, it's a big, massive part for me. You know, I like my wife and my kids coming to games because, you know, you want to try and create that community sort of feel, and they used to love coming to games and stuff like that. But yeah, like she was just as distraught as me, really, and we was talking about, you know, the times and memories and stuff, and yeah. Like
didn't him and Spencer even come back to your house one day for a few beers because of one of the
pubs
or something like that?
Sure. He's been around a couple of times, to be fair, come back, and yeah, that's just how it was at the club, wasn't it? Just
non-league, isn't it? That's what we love.
Yeah, definitely. You know, real sort of, like I say, I keep saying it, but real community, isn't it? And you know, it's sad. I've been back for a couple of funerals now, and yes, it's not nice. You do feel like part of that community has gone a little bit, and you know, I can't imagine going to a Worthing game and not hearing Pete's voice there. It's going to be, you just can't really imagine it, really. But yeah, my wife used to enjoy listening to commentary when she didn't go to games, and he'd always give her a mention. Mrs. Hinshelwood's listening and stuff. So yeah, he was a massive part of my time at the club, and got nothing. I've never heard him speak bad about anyone. Got nothing but good things and good memories of Pete Vale.
Well, I don't think we're ever going to have anyone like Pete again at Worthing. You know, as you say, Hinch, it's like you know, you go to Worthing and like he's like part of the furniture, isn't it? You know, I've not been to a home game since we haven't had one, I don't think, or we have, and I've not been able to go. But you know, I'd always see him without fail. As I said just before we came on, like, you know, my last interaction with him was just a quick stupid joke or something. He was going to have his halftime cig, and a little quick stupid banter interaction, and then that's it. And I would always say without fail match day, it's like when you lose these people, it's like when we lost Kev Goals a few years ago, which pleased to know when you listen to this back, I've got the commentary that him and Pete did at Thurrock.
Oh, have you really?
It's going to be on
Oh,
there,
wow.
so you have good
Unbelievable.
for that. And times like when me and him have commentated at Bognor and we beat them on that Christmas rearranged trip with Holly scoring the winner, and those memories like that. And it's going to be weird to think you're going to go to Worthing and not see Pete. And I'm sure obviously you're always going to want Worthing to do well, whatever you see, unless it's against York, I guess, at the moment. But we're a bigger part of that. But I'm sure you'll want us to do it for Pete, and to get that promotion, and to hopefully them guys that pass, including Sarah, Gary's wife, those people taken from us far too young over the past few years. It must be something you must pray that happens.
Oh, definitely. It'd be the dream for both of us, both teams, to go up and get promoted. That's the ultimate dream for me this season. Club's in an unbelievable position. Just see all the work there, and I'm sure that when I do get to go back to Woodside, that I won't recognise the place.
It's looking lovely now.
Yeah. So, I'm obviously delighted. I was there a long time, and big part of my career, and like I say, got so many happy, positive memories of the football club, and a lot of them were spent with Pete. Nothing but good positive memories, and really hope that they can do it for, like I say, not just Pete, but Sarah and Kev as well.
Yeah. Well, we do miss you at Woodside, Hinch. So, give us a shout when you're next down. It'd be great to share some memories with you in person. But obviously, it's not really the time and the place to go on how York is. But I haven't spoken to you since you've been up there. How's it all going up there? Are you settled into life up in Yorkshire? I mean, you're closer to Chris than you are me now. So, I replicated your hairstyle if you haven't realised before you.
Yeah, like that. The beard game's strong as well, a bit stronger than mine.
I'd look like an egg if I didn't
off.
have a beard. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, I could not pull that off, mate. But no, yeah, York's obviously a lovely part of the world. Family have settled really quickly. Lovely people. They're really really friendly up here, and it wasn't for the first few weeks, but they seem to have.
Fans are fickle. Fans are fickle. They forget that you're now where you are now. The first few weeks.
I still, even now to this day, that I think they think we should be 12 points clear in that. So, but no, the main thing, the family are really happy and settled, and it was obviously a big move, and still, it was a real tough decision to make. For family reasons and football reasons. But felt I was ready to go into full time, and glad I took the opportunity to do it. And like I say, the big part of that's having a family settled. And like I say, Pete was always there for my family. Always asked how everybody was doing, and it was only a couple of weeks ago that we were just going to arrange for him to come up. So real shock. And but life up north's it's going well at the moment.
Well, we're loving seeing how sort of a lot of the former Rebels are doing up there. It's great to see. I mean, we still dig at your North Worthing FC, but I'm sure you'll take that. Good luck for the rest of the season, and good to see Jack doing so well in Brighton. He's cemented himself in the squad there, and it's nice to carry on the family name here. Maybe that's when we'll see you down south, where you take over as Brighton and Hove Albion manager one day. That may be the goal. Possibly.
Yeah, definitely.
He's not going to let any cats out of the bag there, but that could be the way we move you back down south. But wouldn't it be?
Potentially. No, thanks very much. Yeah, they're all doing really well. Thank you, and. I'll say, even my daughter worked at the club as well in the food kiosk, and she's always keen to, whenever we're down, is there going to mirror that we can go and watch a game? It hasn't sort of panned out that way, but the club means a lot to the family, and then Jack as well. Like, he come as a young kid and
remember
supported and was on the pitch having a kickabout, similar to what Teddy was. So the club's played a big part in not just my life but the family's as well.
And that marathon you did as well during COVID.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, and I think Pete was probably one of the first faces I see when I come around the corner. And
yeah, because he dragged me along in my car. I was driving him along in a bloody road trying to do a live broadcast. It was a bloody nightmare.
That's it, yeah. He was there. He was there supporting us on that, wasn't he, as well? And that was tough. That got tough at one point, but yeah, glad we got through that, and yeah, really sort of helped the club in those sort of tough times with no football and COVID times, and yeah, just pleased to sort of play a part.
Hinch, lovely speech, you mate, and do keep in touch and let us know when you're next down. We'll have a pint and share some of those lovely memories over Pete Vale. But thank you for taking your time out, and good luck to you all for the rest of the season, because you know, without a shadow of doubt, we all check. That's the second score we check down here. We always keep an eye on what you guys are doing. So well done, great to see it all paying off, because you deserve it, mate. And thank you for popping on.
No, pleasure. I appreciate it. Cheers, mate.
The Rebel Yell Podcast.
Jasper Pattenden. Falls backwards though to Marvin Armstrong, midway inside their half, central position, plays it into the feet of Ollie Pearce. Ollie Pearce turns his man out, he's just outside the area, tries to shot, deflects, it's going to fall to Starkey. Starkey! Yes! Starkey gets it! And absolutely finds it! And that is 2-1 Worthing! As the buglows come on, the beer is flying everywhere, it's got absolutely ballistic here, but what a goal! What a goal! Come on! Oh, sorry. I enjoyed that. There's nothing like being behind a Jesse Starkey shot as it hits the back of the net. It's just.
The Rebel Yell Podcast.
Day plays it forward to Worthington, midway inside his own half. Long ball forward. It's found its way through. To Murphy. Murphy's 1-on-1. It's done it. He chips it over. The flag's up. Hey! The flag's up. The flag is up. The referee's gone over now to talk to the official. There's a flare on the pitch. The offside is up. I think they might be saying it hit a Worthing player on the way through. They're calling the referee cheat again. There's a big swirl of. There's another yellow card there. It is embarrassing. Right, so another flare to be extinguished. Green smoke over the pitch. Day. Farge wins, gets the ball, clears upfield, and now Cashman has it. Cashman is on side. He's got Pearce the other side of him, down the left-hand side, taking his time. He gives it to Pearce. Pearce gives the time shot. Yes! Get in! Pearce has finished it. Pearce has put it to bed. Pearce is absolutely lavender. And Pearce has gone there, he crammed. They're all dying. I'm running down the steps to get involved in the celebration. It's absolutely fantastic. Pearce has done it. Pearce has killed. Joel! What a goal! Absolutely. Even Holly Wright's come up for the celebration. And Philly Chadwick. It's absolutely unbelievable. I've left my bag behind and everything. Absolutely superb. This is what football is about. Days like this. Oh, it's superb. Ollie Pearce, Kane Wills, Dylan Farge, Joe Felix, Joel Colbrand, Cameron Time. The whistle has gone. The full-time whistle has gone. The referee has ended it.
The Premier Non-League Podcast.
Well, I think we can quite rightly say, you know, this emotional joint podcast with the Rebel Yell Podcast and the PNLP. We've really had some great memories and times with Pete, guys. And, you know, I just think before we wrap this podcast up, any final words?
Well, we all moan about this, that and the other, don't we? and get quite worked up at times in the old emotional football world. But hey, kind of. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it does put it into perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's only a game, and there are a lot more things important in life. And losing your mates and losing your relatives is kind of bigger than any football match. So, I'll reiterate what I said before. Thinking of Pete's wife, his family, the other ones who are really, really hurting at the moment, and our best wishes are with them. But I always, I'm a funeral celebrant. That's what I do for a living. And I often say to people that your memories allow your loved ones to stay with you, because they're in your hearts, your minds. So enjoy the memories that you have, because I'm sure you enjoy creating them together. So just go on enjoying them. I'll never forget Peter Vale. Even though I never met the guy in person, I'll never forget him. And I'll always treasure the memories that I have of him very, very much indeed.
Yeah, I think I can echo that. I mean, as I've said, I've been lucky enough to share the microphone with Pete, not only just commentary, but through podcasts. And, we've been really good friends. We've had our highs and lows, as any friendship does, but we were still solid. Saw him, the game that he wasn't well at, I saw him, and we had a laugh. And, I didn't think that would be the last time. It was only a very brief interaction. So he was passing to go and get a drink. I was passing to go to the other end down Woodside, and, just chat, handshake, how you doing, mate? Yeah, a bit of a joke about something, and then his usual sniggery laugh that he does that you like, his little twinkle in his eye, and it's one of those that you're never going to be replaced, Pete. We'll do this podcast, we'll do the Rebel Yell podcast to honour you for however long it is, and we'll be there in our memory. But from myself, James, Chris, Dave, all the other guests, Jacco, that have appeared on this podcast today, and thanks to our special guest taking the time. Here's to you, Pete, and here's to your friends and family and loved ones. And we'll leave you with his final commentary classic against Bognor a few years ago. Cheers, mate. Rest in peace, buddy.
So, Beresford's going to take free kick, plays it short to Pattenden. Into the penalty area to Pierce. Pierce plays the ball across the box. Turn by Keelan. Slot goal! Goal! Callum Keelan has gone from left-hand corner, right-hand corner, left, right. I don't care where he went. It's in the back of the net. It was a quick free kick played. Pattenden found Ollie Pierce into the box, crossed it, squared it across the penalty area. Callum Keeley with a brilliant turn in hit, beat Tangara, all ends up, and it is now Bognor 1, Worthing 1. Come on, Ollie. Left or right? Quick. Oh, no, I don't care. Back in the net. So Ollie Pierce against his old club. Steps up, hits it, and goal! Sit down, he's commentary! Worthing have the lead. It couldn't be any louder, could you, James? Gaishon Gordon's going to collect the rebound off the goalkeeper. Plays it into Reece Meekins. He's in penalty area, tries to get to the byline, gets the ball aside. And it's the tapping! It's the tapping for Ollie Pierce! And Ollie Pierce is there to stay in the net, and the red flag, yes, come on!
Looks at me and injects me, pushing my hand away to my chest from hers. Dry your eyes, mate. I know it's hard to take, but her mind has been made up. There's plenty more fish in the sea.